Welcome to Like a Bomb, a podcast about powerful women from the past and present.
Not fragile like a flower.
Fragile like a bomb. Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of Like a Bomb. I'm Bailey,
I'm Mom or Jill.
and we're here for our podcast. It is episode 10, like I said. Today is Veterans Day, so November 11th. And, well, if you're an American, as most everyone listening here, there is one person from Turkey that I saw had listened.
Okay.
This was a while ago. You know that we recently had our elections. And, well, we know who won. It's almost this complete clean sweep of red.
Yeah, I keep saying all kinds of maps, and then I stop looking. And then I saw a map of places that you can own. I meant to send it to your sister and you, where you can own a kangaroo. Hold on, I gotta find it now.
Where am I getting a kangaroo in the U.S.
I don't know.
legally?
Hold on. Well, you have in-laws that live in Australia. It's kangaroo ownership legality. So in South Carolina, you can own a kangaroo without a permit. So there's a bunch of states that you can actually own one with a permit. And then, of course, most of the states,
Okay.
you just can't own one. But I meant to send it to the both of you. So let me send it to y'all now because I completely forgot. But
Okay.
yeah, there's
I don't want to take care of a kangaroo.
3 states that you can own a kangaroo without a permit. And, you do have some in-laws that live down under.
Yes, that's the reference to Australia.
I almost said dead yonder, but that would have been completely something different. But
oh boy.
Yep, you could own a kangaroo in Wisconsin, West Virginia, and South Carolina. So two of your grandfathers can own kangaroos without a permit.
2 of them. I have a grandfather in South Carolina.
No, West Virginia. You have 2 grandfathers in West Virginia.
Yes, I know they're both in West Virginia.
Yes, that's what I was referring to, not South Carolina or Wisconsin. That's
cool.
That's what I should get Josh for Christmas. Here, have a kangaroo. You don't have to have any permits. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm sure your brother's gonna love you.
Yeah, well, who knows? You may enjoy it.
It's been an interesting time in the U.S. Needless to say, there's many people, 74-ish million people celebrating, and then there's 70-ish, close to 71 million-ish people very upset and worried about their future. Currently, Trump has very much won the presidential election. The House is a few seats away to being Republican controlled, but that's not fully called yet. And the Senate is currently Republican controlled with 53 to 46 with 1 seat left to be called. Our most directly political podcast episode yet, because it affects all of us. So everything is politics.
And if you've ever wondered, and I feel like we've said this though, if you've ever wondered why we aren't very vocal about certain beliefs and convictions, well, part of it is where we live.
The South.
Yep. Another part is our jobs. Public school teacher for middle school. So separation of church and state. I say that so many times, it's insane. Wow. And I've said it so much in the last couple weeks.
Hey, at least you didn't have to yell like I did one time to a camper when I was a camp counselor, because it was on a university campus where the camp was held for specifically rising 8th grade girls. And it's summer. Students have classes in the summer. Where any male student walked by, she would go, "Ooh, he's hot, he's cute." I went, "You are 13.
Ugh.
The amount of times I had to yell, "You are 13 years old."
Yeah, I feel like I say that pretty much on a regular
Middle schoolers are weird.
basis. They're definitely weird. It's definitely going through way too many changes in a short period of time, and they don't know what to do with any of it. However, they are some of them listening to our podcast now, so I'm kind of wondering if the Turkey one happens to be, I have a student from Turkey this year. He's new. He's in my 5th period.
This was
when
before
everybody...
the school year started.
Oh, okay.
It was listened in the country.
Interesting. Oh,
Um, I don't, it was like Turkey is the proper pronunciation, I believe, because they've changed the proper spelling, so it's not just we're this animal that people like to eat, in at least the US spelling of it. So I believe
yeah.
Turkey is the correct. But needless to say, most listeners are not middle schoolers, and historically are women, and in the US, because around us. But yeah, if you are a middle schooler listening, first off, do not call out your teacher's name in any regard. Don't be stupid. Don't.
I I also told them they can't give rude comments because, well, they're middle schoolers. They can be mean.
The
They make
internet
fun
is
of
not a safe place, so don't go
no.
about thinking it is. Secondly, you're weird because this is your weirdest stage of life, probably ever.
Yup.
I know.
I mean, birth is a lot of changes, but you're not consciously aware of all
Your brain
that.
isn't fully developed as an
No.
infant.
No. It's not fully developed until you're like in your 20s.
Hi.
Yeah. My brain's fully developed, but I think it's deteriorating.
I have concussion, so yeah. It's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit my head on the door frame last week because I stood up too fast and started to black out and went to like rest on the door and went boom. Yeah, it's good times over
Lovely.
here. Good
I'm concerned
times.
about you.
That's okay. The little boys are taking care of me. Well, okay, not really, but
They can't do this so much.
where did Brody go?
I
Oh,
don't know. He's not sleeping on your bed anymore. He
he
got up and
is.
walked away.
He's just
Has his
further
pillow.
up.
He likes to get under the
Yep,
pillow.
he's on the pillow. So, other than the changes in election in the world, and we had Halloween, yay.
Yeah.
According to my students, the chocolate pieces of chocolate candy did not diminish, though the cocoa prices have increased, and so companies are charging more. The students said they still got the same amount of chocolate candy as usual.
I mean, I've never given out candy at my place before or any place of my own. So we had been celebrating my anniversary, and so we were wanting to watch Lord of the Rings, and I only really had the one bag, and so I put it out. It's chocolate. I don't care. I'm buying it. Kind of willy nilly because it was at Publix, and it was buy one get one free. So I got one for me because I like the Baby Ruths, and then I got Crunch Bars because that was the other option. Because if I got 2 bags of Baby Ruths, I would have eaten them all before
Yeah,
Halloween.
very true.
Um,
Very true.
I also finally dismantled my wedding flower bouquet. You can kind of see the dried bag there of the pretty ones that dried to put in the shadow box, and the rest are going to be put into a set of custom D&D dice.
Cool. I had some flowers that I had stolen from your sister's bouquet because I ended up with it.
Yeah.
But when we were moving, uh,
Ah. Well, I still
things.
have had my bouquet, so I did that yesterday.
Well, cool. I think I still have a couple, and I think there's like a tiny bit of little bit of things in the craft room because that means that little people or little sorry, they're not people. Little animals can't get them. My sweet,
I
sweet little
always had
babies.
to kick Brownie out of my room, especially because he would go numb my dried flowers from my corsages and other things throughout high school.
Yeah, no, I mean, they'll eat, just put their mouths on about anything.
They're like toddlers. True
Yes,
toddlers.
they are very much like toddlers that are supposed to be full grown because they are over a year and a half now. Little babies.
Yeah. They're still toddlers.
Yeah.
They're gonna forever at the mentality and IQ of roughly a toddler on
Well,
average.
I don't know. Ben's pretty smart and he does not forget anything.
Well, some toddlers can be smart. Secondly, the average's toddler IQ. They can be dumb,
Yeah.
like Brownie.
He was just special. Very
Yes, he was.
special.
But he did not have an high IQ.
No. No. Not at all.
Fox had a better one.
Yeah. Well, the next time you hear from us, you will be
Now?
here.
No, I won't. Not yet.
Wait,
2
really?
weeks from November 11th.
Oh, I can't.
I should
14.
not be in person because I need to record that before because I gotta edit.
Okay.
But I will be in person with you on the 25th in 2 weeks. But we
Okay.
need to record it so I can edit on my computer beforehand.
True.
A little
Okay.
behind the scenes.
Okay. Well, I work next weekend, so we'll have to figure it out
Yeah, it's gonna have to be on a weekday.
when we're gonna do that.
It's gonna have to be on a weekday.
Okay. Also, while we're here, not that I don't know if you listen, but not only is it a holiday, it's also multiple people's birthday. Happy birthday, Sarah. Happy birthday, Aaliyah. Yay. Sarah is now in her beautiful 30s. She's an official 30-year-old.
I thought you were about to say
Yay.
she's officially an adult. I wait. What?
No, no. She's been an adult, but she's 30. Hopefully she's not upset because she was excited about joining her 30s. And I'm saying this publicly to the 5 people that listen. And hi, Turkey or Turkey.
Turkey.
But that's all I have, unless you have something else.
Well,
Oh.
we're about to get to the stories. I'll do a quick note of we do accept comments. Please be nice. Don't be butthead just because you're anonymous on the internet. 2, you can email us at likeabombpodcast@gmail.com for suggestions or other comments and feedbacks, because you can comment on Spotify and YouTube. And I need to get actually working on it. I've been very just overwhelmed with life. But we have an Instagram, Like a Bomb Podcast. So you can follow us. It's an open account, a public account. Get some updates, see some little posts, a little more insight. When I remember to post. I'm not a big social media run, but we'll try. We'll get this.
And I looked at adding to Apple Podcast, and I looked at Amazon Music. But I would need you here to help me work through some of it.
We can do that because I have all the files on my computer.
Okay.
They're all audio only, so no video yet. Maybe try video
Not
in
this
the next
week.
couple episodes.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, so we have plans.
Yes,
Lots of them.
and a TikTok soon, so you can see our faces if you're
yeah.
also interested and don't know us in real life.
Yep, we'll be definitely doing TikTok. Just honestly, either I am at work or I have no voice. And if you haven't noticed, my voice has been shaky the last couple weeks because I tend to lose my voice very easy.
Yes. Well, with our bigger announcements out of the way and little us just chatting and life, let's dive into our first story. So it's episode 10, so it's an even number. It's my turn to go first. Now, I was hoping I could say our president-elect, but our runner-up president-elect is who I'm talking about, Kamala Harris. So, if you don't like her on principle, you can skip. Whatever. But she's still a person, and she's still a woman who has made strong, impactful things in her life and career thus far. So I'm talking about her because she's very relevant. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia because Wikipedia is actually a fantastic source, as usual, and just talk about her as an overall a lot of things she's done, and then I will end on her stance on issues as far as her 2024 presidential campaign. So, Kamala Harris was born October 20th, 1964. She is known as an American politician and attorney who has been the 49th and current Vice President of the United States since 2021, serving under President Joe Biden, and she is the first female Vice President in the U.S., making her the highest-ranking female official in U.S. history. She is also the first African American and first Asian American Vice President. She's a member of the Democratic Party and was the party's nominee in 2024 presidential election, becoming the second woman to win a presidential nomination by a major U.S. political party. So these past few years, she's making lots of headway as a woman and a woman of color in the world of politics. And if you aren't aware of this already, the first woman to win the major presidential nomination by a major U.S. political party was Hillary Clinton back in 2016. And so from 2017 to 2021, Harris represented California in the United States Senate and was Attorney General of California from 2011 to 2017. From 2004 to 2011, she served as San Francisco's district attorney. Now, as her education goes, she graduated from Howard University and the University of California, Hastings College of the Law. She began her law career in the office of the District Attorney of Alameda County. I may not correctly pronounce, but we're trying. And she was recruited to the San Francisco District Attorney's Office and later to the Office of the City Attorney of San Francisco. She was elected District Attorney of San Francisco in 2003 and Attorney General of California in 2010, and re-elected as Attorney General in 2014. She was the first woman, first African American, and first Asian American to hold each office. So her whole career is still breaking many barriers as a woman and a woman of color. Many, many firsts. And Harris was a junior U.S. Senator from California from 2017 to 2021. She won the 2016 Senate election, becoming the second Black American and first South Asian American U.S. Senator. As a senator, Harris advocated for stricter gun laws, the DREAM Act, federal legalization of cannabis, or weed or pot or whatever you want to call it, and reforms for healthcare and taxation. Many of which is similar to what she runs on today. She has not changed her values drastically. She has gained a national profile while asking pointed questions to Trump administration officials during Senate hearings, including Trump's second Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh. Originally, her first running for president was the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination in 2019, but she withdrew from the race before the primaries. Biden selected her as his running mate, and their ticket defeated the incumbent of Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Some things to note as her run for presidential candidate was in 2020. She was a rather popular and top contender in the 2020 Democratic nomination. In June, and on January 21st, 2019, Harris officially announced her candidacy for President of the United States in the 2020 election. In the first 24 hours of the announcement, she tied a record set by Bernie Sanders in 2016 for the most donations raised in the day after announcement.
Wow.
More than 20,000 people attended her campaign launch event in her hometown of Oakland, California. And during the first Democratic presidential debate in June 2019, Harris scolded former Vice President Joe Biden for hurtful remarks he made, speaking fondly of senators who opposed integration efforts of the 1970s and working with them to oppose mandatory school busing. Harris's support rose by between 6 and 9 points in polls after that debate. In the second debate in August, Biden and Representative Tulsi Gabbard confronted Harris over her record as Attorney General. The San Jose Mercury News assessed that some of Gabbard's and Biden's accusations were on point, such as blocking the DNA testing of a death row inmate, while others did not withstand scrutiny. In the immediate aftermath of that debate, Harris fell in the polls, and over the next few months her poll numbers fell to the low single digits. And she had faced criticism from reformers or for her tough on crime policies pursued while she was California's Attorney General. In 2014, she had defended California's death penalty in court. So she did have a strong going in 2020, but she did quickly fall. So that definitely led to her being Biden's VP pick. So, specifically, on December 13th, 2019, Harris withdrew from the 2020 presidential election, citing a shortage of funds. In March 2020, she endorsed Joe Biden for president. And we can jump into her vice president campaign with Biden. Let's see. There were some specific highlights. So on April 17th, 2020, Harris responded to media speculation and said she would be honored to be Biden's running mate. In late May, in relation to the murder of George Floyd and ensuing protests and demonstrations, Biden faced renewed calls to select a black woman as his running mate, highlighting the law enforcement credentials of Harris and Val Demings. On June 12th, the New York Times reported that Harris was emerging as the frontrunner to be Biden's running mate, as she was the only African-American woman with political experience typical to vice presidents. And on August 11th, 2020, as history knows, and if you are aware in most politics, Biden announced that he had chosen Harris, as she is our current vice president. She was sworn in January 20th, 2021, and as the 117th Congress's Senate was divided 50-50 between Republicans and Democrats, she, as vice president, is that tiebreaker for the Senate. And with that 50-50 split, she was often called upon to exercise her power to cast those tie-breaking votes as president of the Senate. And she cast many tiebreakers in her time with the Senate, breaking many records. Broke Mike Pence's record for those tie-breaking votes in her first year as vice president, when she cast 7 tie-breaking votes in her 6 months. She cast a total of 13 tiebreaker votes in her first year, the most tie-breaking votes in a single year in U.S. history, surpassing John Adams, and Harris broke the record for the most tie-breaking votes cast by a vice president ever, with 32 votes, surpassing John C. Calhoun, who cast 31 votes during his nearly 8 years in office.
Oh.
So, in end of 2023, she cast 32 tie-breaking votes, more than another VP who had 8 years of office. And as early as December 2021, Harris was identified as playing a pivotal role in the Biden administration, owing to her tie-breaking vote in the early divided Senate, as well as her being the presumed frontrunner in 2024 if Biden did not seek re-election. Which, lo and behold, she did become the key presidential nominated person, simply because Biden eventually did not seek re-election. Biden did win the primaries, and dropped out shortly before the DNC convention this past August 2024, which left the Democratic Party scrambling to find a candidate, but not too much scrambling, because there's a lot of people pointing to Kamala Harris, the current VP, with experience to be their current presidential candidate, which makes sense. People voted for Biden and Harris on their ticket for primaries, so it would make sense to go for his VP, since essentially that's what people are already voting for. So they had run a presidential campaign, Kamala Harris and her then chosen VP running mate, Tim Walz. They ran a 107-day presidential campaign and had record-breaking donations in the first 24 hours of her candidacy, with $81 million of small dollar donations. It's the highest single day total of any presidential candidate in history. And if she had won, she would have been the first female, the first Asian American president of the US, and the second African American president after Obama. It was August 5th that she officially secured the nomination via a virtual roll call of all delegates. Because they can't just be like, oh, we want you, but they need to formally vote with the delegates to have nominated and solidify her being their nomination. And that is most of the general things for Kamala Harris's career and recent presidential run. There's lots of other little things and other little policies that you can look into and other little specifics on her Wikipedia page. She also has some publications, but there's a lot. And I'm not going to take the whole episode and draw out everything in more detail of what she wants in the US or what she believes and has done in her career, and most of the highlights. So going to the KamalaHarris.com, you can see the specific policies that she was running on. Mostly, it was pandering to the group that is a middle-class home as a child of a working mom, a single mom for most of her life, as her parents divorced when she was 7 years old. And she really wanted to build up the middle class, and that was her biggest goal, especially heard in different debates, or not even debates, just different events that she had towards the end of her campaign session before the election, was building up the middle class, specifically cutting taxes for middle class families, making rent more affordable and home ownership more attainable. She wanted to grow small businesses and invest in entrepreneurs. She wanted to strengthen and bring down the cost of healthcare, protect and strengthen Social Security and Medicare, support American innovation and workers, which I can click on and get more detail, but it is many and many paragraphs. And she wanted to provide a pathway to middle class through quality, affordable education, because this podcast wouldn't exist most likely if I wasn't in the ability to have gone through a more affordable, sort of, thanks to the Pell Grant, education to become more of a properly considered middle class person. So something like that also affects people like me and many others in the US. And if I decided to have children, she wanted to invest in more affordable childcare and long-term care. And because daycare and maternity leave are very, very expensive for daycare, and maternity leave in the US is very short and not the most effective for the child and mother. And some of the other things she wished to protect was our right to our bodies and our choices, our reproductive freedoms as women, and restore those, as well as protecting civil rights and freedoms, such as my freedom to choose who I marry, my freedom to go out and be myself as a queer person, to go out and voice my choice and path safely. She wants to make gun laws stricter. She wants to make our community safer from gun violence and crime, secure our borders, and fix our broken immigration system. She wants to tackle the opioid and fentanyl crisis, ensure no one is above the law.
Nobody should be above the law.
Exactly. The whole point is no one is above the law. And currently, the investigator, or the whatever correct term of the person who is running Trump's current legal battles of like his current prosecutor for his January 6th insurrection and the classified documents are being told to wind down, because once he's sworn in and the time that we have, he's cleared from them. No one is above the law. And Harris, this is all of her platform in a nutshell from her page. And that is why we're here. We're talking politics. So that is most everything I have for Kamala Harris.
Wow. She would have definitely been a change to our country, as she would have been the first female. Like you said, she would be the first woman of color.
She would be the second African American woman, so second black woman, second, first Asian, South Asian specific woman. It's history that she could have taken, but she at least has taken in many of the other roles she has, such as currently led up to her vice presidency.
Yeah,
And
then
now, with Trump's election again and being our president elect, there are men out there waving signs saying, "Your body, my choice." So, as women, we're not looking forward to this.
yep. And that's when we jump into mine.
There's
Before.
much of history that shows how terrible women are treated and still are in other places in the world.
And lots of other places in the world. That's the scary part. So I'm actually going to start with a poem.
Yay!
It is called If Adam Picked the Apple
Oh, I think I saw this.
by Danielle Coffin. There would be a parade, a celebration, a holiday to commemorate the day he sought enlightenment. We would not speak of temptation by the devil. Rather, we would laud Adam's curiosity, his desire for adventure and knowing. We would feast on apple-inspired fare, torts, chutneys, pancakes, pies. There would be plays and songs reenacting his courage. But it was Eve who grew bored, weary of her captivity in Eden, and a woman's desire for freedom is rarely a cause for celebration.
Which is the sad truth.
So, and by the way, I do know I am a white woman in this society, and that does give me a certain amount of privilege. But I would also like to say that I am a woman who raised 2 children on my own, that most people who saw us in public thought that they were my sisters, and when
Yeah.
they realized that they were my daughters, would actually vocalize how disgusting it was that I had children so young. People would follow us around stores, making sure we wouldn't shoplift. My kids were luckily older when they finally realized that that's kind of what was happening. That what was happening. But so I do have privilege and I know that, but I also do know that I come from a place where I have been treated poorly because I somehow didn't age until I hit my 40s. And so everybody thought that I was like 12 when I had my kids because.
Yep. There's been times where you went to the bathroom while I was the one at the restaurant table with Pip. Where you went with Pip, and a woman who rudely out of her place went, "Is that your mom?" Yeah. I was 10 and made the most disgusting face.
Yeah. So because I didn't look my age, which by the way, I didn't have my first kid until I was 22. So I just didn't look my age. So that did actually get us a lot of nasty reactions to things. But women have been discriminated against since the beginning of time. I mean, I literally read a poem about the beginning of time, whether you are a creationism or you believe in evolution or regardless of, it is a poem. So it is just a representation of from the beginning of time, things have been different. And I know in lots of other cultures and societies, it is way worse for women than we are. And we do feel blessed for that. However, that does not mean that we are not nervous. So I am doing the 4B movement. I actually had no idea what to do because I wanted to wait. I had the poem. I knew I was doing that. And then I wanted to wait till after the election. Depending on then, I would make a decision on what I was doing. And I talked to a friend and had a list of things. And she's like, well, what about the 4B movement? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, lady. And she pulled it up and I looked over it. So the 4B movement, or the Four No's, it originated in South Korea. The term was first used on Twitter, or X. Weirdly, all the articles still call it Twitter.
Yeah.
I think that everybody's just going, oh, by the way, if you haven't noticed or you didn't know, Elon Musk acquired Ford.
What?
Yep.
Oh, to add some stress, he's currently theorized to be the one nominated for like top of NASA or something.
Yeah,
Like
I
he's gonna
saw
be
some
in
stuff.
the Trump administration possibly.
Yeah, I saw that, but he acquired Ford. Like, oh, and I literally read it and I guess there goes my brand loyalty. Anyhow, moving on. The first, the term first was seen in South Korea on Twitter in 2017, 2018. It's a feminist group abstaining from interactions with men, meaning no dating, no marriage, no sex, no pregnancies, due to the country's patriarchal society. And so I do know that sometimes we use words that not everybody maybe understands, and that's fine. I don't understand half the stuff I read, and I Google a lot. So patriarch means father, or it's like paternal side of your family versus the maternal side of your family. Paternal meaning your father's side, maternal meaning mother. Patriarch means the father, the ruler of the family. It's a male leader. Patriarchal is a society or government that is controlled by men. So just want to make sure we understand what all of our words mean. I'm not in any way implying that you don't know vocabulary. I just know that there's sometimes things I have to Google. And so I figured I would definitely have some vocab help. So this was in a reaction, again, to their patriarchal society. The term 4Bs, so depending on what article I read, said, so the word for marriage, childbirth, romance, and sexual relationships all start with B's, based on most of the articles I read in Korean. And then another article said that the letter B is shorthand for the word no in Korean. So
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure, or if it's both. It could just be both. So the inspiration for this movement in South Korea was the Me Too movement, which started in 2006 in the United States, but didn't really gain a lot of popularity throughout the world until around 2017, which is when it really got picked up by South Korea. And when I was reading some stuff, part of this was because of women that were forced into sex work after World War II, just because of Japanese occupation of Korea, things that happen. And if you don't know what the Me Too movement is, it is basically coming out and saying, I'm with you in solidarity because of sexual harassment and sexual abuse. Me Too, meaning it's happened to me. I'm with you. I'm there to support you, and whatever fight you need to take. So that was one of the inspirations for the 4B movement. Also,
One quick note I want to add real quick before you continue,
Mhm.
because you have some middle schoolers that may listen and they may not know. The Me Too is not just for women.
Nope.
Men get sexually assaulted often too. Be
Yep.
aware and speak up for yourself.
Yes, there is. Just be mindful. It's not a gender specific, or it's just all people. Um, the Escape the Corset movement, which was in 2016. It was for women to liberate themselves from sexual, social, and bodily and psychological oppression. It was a metaphor because if you don't know what a corset is, again, I'm sorry if this feels like a vocabulary lesson, but corsets have been out for a long time. It is if you've ever seen Gone with the Wind, there's a lovely way to see it. It is a binding that tightly fitted undergarment, basically, that usually has like laces to pull it tighter through your body. It goes from around your rib cage, like above your rib cage, like right under your breast, until your hips. It's tightened to make your waist smaller, usually. That is, and so it was the metaphor for being bound socially and being repressed. And they use the word corset for that. And then a Greek comedy, and I am going to butcher this, Leestras? That's not right. Leestratus.
I
Anyhow.
know what you're talking about, but I can't remember
Yep.
how to pronounce it either.
Ancient Greek comedy that came out in 411 BCE. And it was about Greek women who withheld sex to force men to end the Peloponnesian War. So these are all the inspiration for the Korean 4B movement, and some of those are also inspiration for the US one. And we will get there. First, I want to talk about the movement that started in South Korea because we are taking inspiration in the US right now. So, until recently, it was an expectation and a mandate in South Korea that after 18, you got married. It was to oppose the patriarchal state and pro natalist policies. And if you don't know what natalist is, it's the promoting and advocating for childbirth to increase population growth. So, if it's pro natalist, it's their for this. And some of the policies in South Korea where they would give a stipend to new parents, increase maternal and paternal leave, and child care subsidies. Because, and I get there, I think somewhere later, South Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world right now, because they're just not having babies. They don't want to have babies. They're not our mindsets, our generations, everybody is changing. My mother's and father's generation, most people had kids by the time they were in their early 20s. My parents didn't, they waited later. But and then my generation, it's all over the place. I have people that are my age that are having babies now. I know tons of people my age who have grandbabies. So that's all over the place. And then the younger generations now are, a lot of them just aren't having kids. Or they're
Yes, as
waiting.
fellow Gen Z, I have
So,
no desire for kids for many reasons, and that is my own personal choice.
yeah. And everybody has their right to make that decision. It shouldn't be government mandated that you have kids. So, also rejecting the gender, beauty, expectation standards and norms in South Korea. So, South Korea, which I learned so much when I read this, I was like, what? So, South Korea has the 10th largest beauty market globally and the third largest exporter of cosmetics. I did kind of know the cosmetics because I feel like everywhere we look, we see Korean cosmetics. However, I did not know that they were that big and that it was that much of a, I guess, because all the people I've met that are Korean, they didn't grow up there. So they were generally adopted. Um, most of the people that I've met throughout my life. So the movement was to challenge conventional life plan of marriage to family, condemning the job market, gender discrimination, where women earn 31% less than men, which is just a huge, huge discrepancy. Rejecting the use of female reproductive abilities to increase and maintain the country's population. Like I said, they have the lowest birth rate in the world. And so the government's like, wait, if we keep this track, because, statisticians have done the work and they've said, if you keep this track for the next couple more decades, you're going to be this many, like the death rate is surpassing the birth rate, meaning that population is going to die out. And, the less population, less standing in the world. So we can't have that. And the goal was not to change men's perspective, but to inspire societal change and alternative styles for women. So that is what the movement was in South Korea. So, and then we look at what is happening in the US. And so since Tuesday, because it was a week ago, that following the 2024 presidential election, there were TikTok videos with 4B mentioned of viewed hundreds of thousands of times. 4B Google searches increased 450%. There are so many articles that have come out in the last week regarding this, and many, many, many social media posts. So in the last week, the amount of women that are looking into this movement and supporting this movement in our country has just skyrocketed. The goal is more about bringing attention to the concern for women's rights than it is to say that I am absolutely going to abstain from marriage, dating, sex, procreation. Um, and it is more about with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the concern for federal ban on abortion. And by the way, nobody is saying, hey, abortion, let's go. People are saying it's healthcare, and we want to have adequate healthcare for all people for all reasons, because you don't know what's going to happen. You have no clue. Bailey was twins. She doesn't have a twin. So you don't know what's going to happen. And anybody who says I'm pregnant and I feel safe and secure, then I'm sorry. I don't know what you've been reading, but you need to look a little deeper. Because it is a terrifying idea. I have two daughters. One lives in a more restricted state than the other, but you never know what's going to happen, and things can go awry. I have an ultrasound picture where you can see where Bailey's twin was and wasn't there anymore. So we just need to have good health care that covers all possibilities of saving lives. So the concern is for federal bans on abortions and the further erosion of women's rights. We didn't even get the right to vote to 1920, so those kind of things. Kind of scared. Also, there are so many posts, like Bailey said. One of them is "Your Body, My Choice." There was a tweet that a man made in the last week. Actually, I think it was Wednesday, so the day after the election, that said, "Women threatening sex strikes like LMAO," we all know what that means, "as if you have a say." This is the culture that we're going into if we're publicly saying this on social media posts that goes out to millions of people, and it's okay, and saying it's okay. That's terrifying. Women shouldn't be afraid to just leave their house. They shouldn't be afraid to say no. Like some of the articles I read, people in their 20s and 30s are like, I'm going to take self-defense classes. I'm going to take boxing classes because I should be able to say no. I should be able to walk away. And what we're seeing coming out in social media in the last week is it's saying that it's okay if things happen to us. And it's not. And look at statistics. You're more likely to get hurt by somebody you already know. You're most likely, there's so many things. So you just need to be vigilant. And the fact that we are in 2024 when we're supposed to have flying cars and time machines, and our concern is, can we walk down the street and get away from somebody because they have the right to do something that we can't say no to in a culture right now. So the 4B movement is saying we are going to be our own women, and we are not going to use a man or be with a man in any way. The main U.S. idea is that no, that doesn't mean women are truly going to do that. If you're already with somebody, they're not going to break up with them. However, they are saying that these are things are not right. So we're making a stand so that we can do a peaceful political stance to maybe change the way things are, because we're afraid. And we shouldn't be. So
Well, there's been posts going around of being aware of the gun laws in each state, which ones you can open carry. And I love the little graphic of a bunch of women strapped open carrying. That was entertaining. And what open carrying without a permit and all those different rules, where you can have knives on your person, hidden or concealed, in the length and other rules. If you have a taser or not, pepper spray, mace. We have to be prepared. And that's the scary part. Just as women as a whole. And then now, people of color have always experienced this so much more blatantly. And women have, but there's many that forget it or have accepted that that's okay. And now there's more direct targeting towards the queer community and trans people. You have to educate yourself before you vote.
Nobody should be scared in a country that's supposed to be the most free in the world.
No one should be scared to exist.
We actually have power, whether he feels like it right now or not. We have power together. And
We
that
have the
was,
right to protest.
yes. So know that. Know that also we are not in any way saying go out there and do damage to get your point across. No, there are proper ways to handle things and proper ways not to. But you all have a voice and raise it and scream and yell.
And also have backup plans. And know how to use the weapons that you plan on having if you feel the need.
And that's for
Educate
protection.
yourself.
There are cute little cat keychains you can buy that you put in your knuckles, and they've got little pointy things. One or both of my kids have had them. There's lots of things out there. Okay, well, then Piper has it. There are lots of things out there that you can look into, self-defense classes. If you are feeling unsure, arm yourself, not necessarily with a Glock, but arm yourself with education, arm yourself with preparedness, arm yourself with safe plans. Do not walk through that dark alley by yourself. You should never be alone, especially if you are a woman who doesn't know where she's at. College kids, do not leave that bar by yourself.
Yeah, don't be at a bar by yourself in college towns.
No,
Like
there's
my
lots
mom
of.
said, it's usually who you know.
So,
And colleges, historically, frats are not safe. You can get roofied, you can have this, or that. So be aware of your situation and learn where the safe places are to relax. Because relaxing is also important, especially for a long fight of more years.
talk to your mothers. They have ideas. They lived through lots of different things.
Or
They
if
know
you don't
more
like your
than think.
mother, which I like mine, grandmothers, teachers, other friends, parents, or aunts, or any sort of more authority figure that you trust.
I mean, my students, I'm like their counselor. I should start getting paid for that, man. If I charge the amount of therapy I give, holy cow, I'd be rolling in it. There's always somebody you can trust. And if not, reach out to us. I spend my life with my daughters or my students. And so there is somebody that I am talking to about so many things. And it's never appropriate to throat punch somebody, just so you know. Never, never appropriate to just punch somebody just because. I do feel like I need to say that. I don't know how many 13 and 14-year-olds are out there. No throat punching.
Yeah, you may be hormonally angry because you're a teenager going through puberty. Violence should be the last resort
Yes, please don't.
because you don't want to go to jail. You don't want to be stupid.
No, no. Plus, you shouldn't hurt anybody. But,
Avoid it.
yeah. But if you need somebody to talk to, we are here.
We have an email. We have an Instagram. Use it wisely. Do not abuse it.
I have spent many a years as a single mother of two, and I am a middle school teacher. So I spend my day with 100+ kids with lots of questions and comments and thoughts and so many things. But I did get to try the cranberry Sprite. So I've had the ginger ale Sprite. I'm sorry, the cranberry ginger ale from a student, and I got the cranberry Sprite from a student, and I'm determining which one I like best to bring to Thanksgiving. Well, I don't know why I'm
Oh.
bringing it. I live here, but
Yeah,
you know
we're
what I mean.
coming to your house.
Yeah, but it was probably the most political we'll ever get.
I hope.
And just know that everything we say is because we believe.
We want to protect our community amongst ourselves. have
And
a
we
happier, healthier, safer space.
and we believe in the good. So that's the thing to keep a hold of is remember there is good there. There is good here. We can find it and we can get there. We just have to do it together. And with that being said, go do something extraordinary.